I'm not gonna call, but there you go.
But I'm not doing that
Can turn
anymore.
my tree
The
into
kids
a-
are doing that
I
now,
know.
the young folks.
Right.
So.
Okay, now that everybody's too shy to talk to each other or anything, it's harder to get a meeting called to order. I'm gonna call it to order. And let's get started. And this might be our last meeting. Da-da-da-da, drum roll.
Right.
So, hate to break your hearts and all that, but let's start by reviewing the minutes of the
I think George
14th.
didn't mean to interrupt, but I think Georgie appreciated if you get a few more, so I could
She likes
enjoy
this?
now.
I told Rudy it's probably the last night that I'll walk out the door, he has to wash dishes, you know, so he likes that. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, any seconds?
Second?
Any comments, concerns? They'll stand approved as written.
Do I need to submit minutes for our last meeting? Because we won't have a meeting
Definitely.
to. Okay.
Yes.
We'll just approve them by email?
History. That's something. I don't know. I had a conversation with Jeff Forbes finally Tuesday morning. And then I sent him, we sent him the final draft that we all have now. And his comments came back, and I was gonna make copies of all this, and I thought, that's dumb. You'll just take them home and throw them away anyway. So I thought, I'll read them to you. But he said.
For the record, I've got a scrapbook.
I was gonna ask everybody to autograph it for me and keep it forever.
You might, put it in your hope chest or something, or in your archives, your personal archives at home. Anyway, this is from Jeff. He says, Chris, I've reviewed the draft focus sheets. I really have only one comment, and I've made notes, so we'll go to that. But in focus sheet number 3 on page 7, there's a sentence that states emergency ordinances or resolutions shall require a supermajority of 5 of 6 affirmative votes of council for enactment. Since the previous paragraphs proposed to make resolutions effective immediately after a single vote, there is no need to reference emergency resolutions. That sentence can simply refer to emergency ordinances only. Other than that, it all looks good to me. This is a great format to present the recommendations and shows the time and energy dedicated to the work of the commission. Congratulations on a great product.
Well, good. Wow.
Yeah, and then I sent back, a thank you to him, but also invited him to come tonight. I thought he was our first meeting, and it might be good for him to be here as we go through this, and for all of you to feel you could ask him anything you wanted to, and maybe doubly give it credibility. And he responded, unfortunately, I'm not available tomorrow night, but please pass on my comments to the entire commission. I am really impressed with the work that went into this. As for presenting it to council, I had said to him that we were thinking of getting it to council next Wednesday night or Thursday, and have it go out maybe in their packets. But I was having some second thoughts and thought maybe I wanted to just give it to Fred and have us hand deliver it when we're there. Otherwise, there isn't a lot for us to do. So I thought maybe we need to hold back on that and deliver it when we're at the council meeting. So he says, as for presenting it to council, I think it would be fine to give a copy to the mayor and then present the remaining copies to council at the meeting. It is probably something that would be discussed at a future session anyway, so it may not be necessary to give them all a copy prior to the meeting at all. In other words, they wouldn't get to it in that meeting. And knowing council members, they'll get that packet and they'll read what they have to or what they're involved with. But a lot of times you go into a meeting, there's just so much to go through that you haven't studied it, you haven't really reviewed it. So I'm tending to leave, go kind of that direction, that we may get a copy to Fred. He appointed all of us, and it's his commission. So we'll give him a copy ahead in advance, and then have ourselves on the agenda for that night, just at the very beginning of the meeting, to come and give our report. And each of you could take, there's 6 of you, and there's 6 council members. each of you go up and hand deliver a copy, or we can talk about that and see how you wanna do it, what feels right.
Because they
So,
would probably start reviewing it in a work session versus a regular
right,
council.
exactly. Their first go over it would be in a work session generally, that's the normal process.
As far as the public seeing the work product, I guess I'm thinking if it goes to mayor or council and then goes off to whatever they call the next meeting they have to discuss it.
The work session.
My thought is, if the public was also aware, I don't see a negative to that. I don't see it restricting them at all. I guess what I'm thinking of is if we're making a recommendation and for some reason they throw it out, which they certainly can, but, you know, public may be interested in knowing what's being thrown out. So
I kind of disagree with you. We've invited the public to come up here and talk about it. We've made it totally open to everybody that wants to be here. And I think that time is over. It's time now to get our work finished and have it.
No, I'm agreeing that the work is finished.
Okay, well, you just.
You're thinking of having this published somewhere, like on the internet or on the village's website.
Village website or.
Yeah.
I figure
Yeah, I mean,
that's their
available.
job, the council's
That's
job.
their
I mean,
job.
we sort of.
It's
we've
not to
been-
that, it's ready to go to council, but it's not ready for the state for the point to say, this is what we've decided, we're gonna try to change.
Oh, they'll be working on this for 6 months.
Right,
easily.
and when they get to the point where they really think that it's gonna, you know, go up for a vote, then I think before that it needs to go.
I think what Ken is saying is that he would like the public to see our work.
Yeah, and I think I mean, these are they will be public documents. I mean, it just is, it will be. And it's official as soon as we present it to council. To me, it's in their hands, and it's their job now to put it on the website or do whatever they wanna do with it.
Okay.
And we could say something about that at the council
could.
meeting. Can we recommend that it be put on, you know,
Online.
online?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just thinking when we invited the public, there were 3 speakers, and there was one other couple in the audience who gave it a half hour and got up and left.
Mhm.
So I don't.
And that was way early in the process too. Did we have a little bit, you know?
Well, it was we were publicly appointed. It was announced at a council meeting. And I think there was a notice some point in the journal that we were at work. And that's the way these things go. I mean, you know, our job was to sit down and we were representing, you know, citizens in a variety of different directions. And I think, you know, I think we've done what we were appointed to do.
Okay.
And I think back, my only other experience with the commission is back in 1980, I think it was, or somewhere, where, bless you, I served on the fire department's commission. They were concerned about whether they could even keep the fire department as a volunteer fire department, keep it alive or not. And I ended up chairing that by default. The person that wanted to and was dying to be chair got mad and walked out. And so I was suddenly was chair of that. And in the end, we made our presentation from the gazebo. No, the gazebo wasn't built.
Yeah.
There was a little stage at the festival.
Yeah.
And so we made our presentation there, and they wrote us in on a fire engine. That was the only only visibility that that commission had.
I don't think we need a similar.
No,
That sounds
no,
fun.
not at all, you know, as, we could all walk in carrying.
You know, in the summer, it might be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
today.
If we tried to get symbolic, we'd have to all walk in carrying either the codified ordinances,
Oh, yeah.
which weighs a ton, or, maybe we could walk in carrying the charter, you know, or
Get
something.
the
Lot
people
lighter.
from the Liberty Tax thing in their statue.
Yes, with a torch.
Okay, so the thought process is, given the mayor appointed us, the report goes to the mayor, and in their deliberations, that will be public access as well.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And hopefully, some of their deliberations or their discussions might be televised, you know, with the meetings. I mean, I would assume they will be.
Probably on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, so.
Yeah, I have no idea what the readership of that is.
Yeah.
No. But anyway, I think probably once it goes out of our hands, it's out of our hands. And
Okay.
it will be dissolved and we can go back to being ordinary people. Okay. And who do I thank for this?
That's for me. I just
Thank you,
feel
Heidi.
like,
Well, I'm going to put it out here on the table. Can I, is that all right?
oh, sure,
I'll
it's
put it out.
yours, you know, it's for our, especially after I look through this, and the opening, and you know, all the extra things that you did to pull this together.
Well, I
You know.
felt like we were up against the wall, and that's when I, you know, pull out all the stops and say, let's get done, you know, so. But this is lovely, thank you, because I thought later today,
It is.
I mentioned, you're just in time, come around the table. See, he knew that there was nothing
And you
good.
know what, dark chocolate's good for you.
Yeah, healthy.
You have to have the first piece.
Yeah, oh, first piece.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so pass this around,
I'll take a piece, you guys want a piece?
and,
Where I thought it'd be fashionably later.
well, we are, and because we've started, and we were just talking about, Jeff Forbes commending our work, and, so that's nice. And he was very complimentary, he said that he really felt really good about what we've done, and that, and as we were doing it, I thought, we've had nothing to go by, I haven't, you know, you sort of get to one stage and think, okay, what do we do next? You know, you kind of rack your brain and say, okay, this is what we'll do, so, it's been kind of an interesting assignment for us. I wanna go through this tonight and we can go to, let's just start at the beginning, in fact, I guess. Talk to me a little bit about how you felt about it, as you opened it up, and, you know, I felt like I was taking a lot of license by writing this summary and wanting everybody to sign it, so I want you all to feel free to change anything that you want to, because it needs to feel good from everybody, so, speak.
My name is, ends with an I.
Oh, does it? H-E-I-D-I? Good. Okay, we'll change that. We've had you wrong on the roster, you and I think, yeah.
Hate to be one of those people that
No, it needs to
complains
be.
about the way you spell their name,
It
but
needs
it
to
is.
be right, yeah. So, what about the summary?
Should we recognize Tricia as secretary?
I think so.
Oh, I did on the first
What?
draft, yeah, it should have
Yeah.
secretary with it.
I think it was a good idea to put this somewhere on, because somewhere down the road, some other committee's gonna have to look at this again 10 years from now. And they know how we did it, and it gives them a starting point.
Mhm.
They can do what they want, but at least they know how we did it.
They'll have more than what we had,
Yeah.
okay?
I already shared with you that I thought it was extremely well written
Yeah.
and concise and truthful.
Is there
Very
anything?
clear.
Anything not in there that you wish were?
I think we've gone over it, boy, oh boy, if it's not in there, you should have spoke up by now.
I think we should devote at least a half hour to section 2.06.
I'd like to talk
Um,
about
do we
malfeasance,
have-
non-feasance.
It's been discussed.
Should we capitalize or bold those?
Well, I like the bold.
No,
oh,
I'm making fun
Oh,
of Tricia. But anyway, so the summary, anything change? Well,
In all seriousness, I'm looking at page 7, and it's the question protocol. And I'm simply not clear on it. I'm not
Okay.
sure what it means. At the start of the page, each ordinance shall be read on 2 separate meeting dates unless this
Okay.
requirement is dispensed with by a vote of the majority of the members of council. What requirement, the requirement is for 2 separate meeting dates? So in effect, something could come up.
2 separate readings on 2 separate occasions is the phrase that you'll hear council use all the time.
So in the same meeting, it could have both its first and second if
No.
council approves?
No.
There's 2 separate readings on 2 separate occasions.
One of them can be the work session if they designate it as.
Well, it's saying
But it doesn't say that, does
unless
it? Maybe
this
that's.
Well,
requirement
council can do
was
that
dispensed.
anyway.
On 2 separate meeting dates, it says.
If the regular meeting designate the
Change
work
that to
session as
2
a.
separate meetings on 2 separate occasions.
While looking at that, though, I think we might have a punctuation or spelling error there. The second readings, it should be second reading instead of second readings.
Oh.
The last sentence, the second, it says, it reads the second readings shall be in full. It should be the second reading.
It's referring to the process of all second readings. It's a global statement,
All.
yeah. Not,
So-
not the second reading, but the second reading.
Well, except in
all-
front of it, you have the first reading may be by title only. Then the inference would be the second reading shall be in full unless this requirement is dispensed with by majority of the vote of council.
Well, yeah, that should be
So if
consistent.
the was deleted and it was first readings and second readings, that would take care
They
of
should be
this.
consistent,
Mm.
either first reading and second reading, or first readings or second readings. You're
Mhm.
probably better off first reading because you're only gonna vote on one at a time anyway.
Yeah,
So the requirement that can be dispensed with by, we've got another typo.
where,
Well, the first sentence, each ordinance shall be read on 2 separate meeting dates unless this requirement is dispensed with by a vote of, okay, I see it.
Then it just says the first reading may be title only, which is no problem. The sign of the second reading should be consistent with that, instead of say second reading instead of second readings.
But what requirement is being dispensed?
The
the requirement to read it on 2 separate, 2
occasions.
separate readings on 2 separate occasions.
So you're saying that it doesn't need a S on it, the second reading and not reading?
Right. Because you're only reading one ordinance at a time.
So where I was thinking an emergency ordinance was being read and acted on that night and effective.
You would
This is saying council can waive that, not declare it an emergency.
Well, we have two things. You have to waive the first and second reading, but then you also have to have a separate vote as to whether you're gonna declare it an emergency or not.
What would be the necessity for declaring
It's one
something an
letter.
emergency?
A legitimate emergency, like, we're going to lose a $3 million grant from the federal government if we don't get a resolution in by tomorrow morning, something like that.
But if you can say, and the title is, we're losing a grant, and here we're reading the whole thing and we're dispensing with the requirement for 2 separate meeting
Right.
dates.
Yeah,
There's a reason for ever having an emergency
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah, there is.
Yes, there is. You've got to have an escape valve for legitimate emergencies that come up. The only issue is, is it overused? And I mean, there's always this difference of opinion on a lot of things. I feel it's perhaps overused, but the necessity is there to have an emergency clause because there are times you absolutely need it.
But he's trying to think through how that happens, right? Yeah, in what order?
If we have an ordinance and we can waive the requirement for reading on 2 separate meetings, and then pass with a simple majority, what's the rationale for
It doesn't go into effect
Effect for
though
30
for
days.
30 days, whereas if you do the emergency clause,
That makes
then
it
it goes into effect as soon as
immediately.
it's passed.
Because if you do it the regular way, people have a right to file a referendum for 30 days after the passage. When you put an emergency clause in, that forecloses the right of the people for a referendum on that particular subject. Then if they want to do anything about it, they have to file what we call an initiative, which takes the same number of signatures, but it's a different document entirely.
Well, and it isn't just for the people, but it's also going through council. If they have a first reading, it gives them a month to study it, a month to review it, a month to challenge it or question it, or send it to committee of council for further work. So it isn't just for the public, but it's also just the necessity of getting the process through council carefully and studiously.
That's correct, that's true.
So
So-
the significance is really on the effective date.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's really the only reason to go into an emergency clause. So, do we all agree to take the S off of the third line, page 7, is second reading instead of readings?
Yeah.
We're all good with that? And Ken, you're okay? All right. And on that same page, down in, it's the second paragraph that is not bold, down where it says emergency ordinances. It's the second paragraph starts off emergency ordinances. What Jeff was referring to was to remove or resolutions in that sentence, because resolutions are never under an emergency ordinance.
Yeah, because you don't have that would probably be all right.
And I had thought I took that out. I had thought we, because we did talk about that last time.
Okay, those are the changes. Okay, I was gonna say, why is that O and R in that dark
We agree that all
italicized?
ordinances and resolutions should be capitalized.
And that was the first time it was, because down, okay,
And
yes,
we've just
okay.
previously defined what an ordinance
Yes,
was and what a
okay.
resolution is, so,
Okay,
Mhm.
and I have no argument with taking
I see.
resolutions out because there's never an emergency on a resolution anyway.
well, but lower, I guess that was a spot that we left the same, but it's just capitalized below. Like some of them are
There-
and some of them
see,
aren't.
206, remember we split it up, the whole flow, it was just resolutions
Okay.
and ordinances, and so the
And that was one
request
part
was,
of
yeah,
it.
the request was that we define and differentiate between ordinances and resolutions.
Mm.
And so that's why we have several paragraphs that are all bold, because that's all
'Cause
brand
that's
new.
new.
No, I'm
That's all
talking
new.
about like,
Yeah, but from
And those are
there,
the changes that
from-
we're making.
but
From
down
there
here,
down.
they aren't, but that was a different, that's what I'm saying, that was one
Yeah.
thing that we addressed, but you see them down here,
well, those are
They're not.
changes that we feel
Not
are.
what?
italicized.
Yeah, those are
Oh,
changes.
they're
But
just
up
not
here
italicized,
they
they're
are.
bold, they're just not italicized.
Like
Oh,
some
where?
of them are, there's a different.
See, these are bold,
Oh, you're right.
but they're not italicized.
Yeah.
Some of they're different.
Well, make
That's-
sure that we got, because Rudy proofed all of this, but what happened, I think he did it right. I'm still having trouble with the computer. And so,
And I thought maybe that was, you know, this.
No, that, I didn't understand what you
No.
meant
Yeah,
there,
you
but they're
see
not
what I mean,
italicized.
like these
Yeah.
are,
You're right.
Yeah.
but the other ones.
I will go back and make sure that those come through. If you see those, please tell me,
I was like, what?
because we
Right,
need to.
no, but they're not slanted.
I have to hit each of those 3 times at least to make it do it.
Okay.
And I was making it
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, the rest of the way down there,
Here's another one, Chris, go back to
they're
page
all,
7.
they're
I have a
all,
whole bunch.
Okay.
yeah.
Did you find,
the first, couple
Yeah, that's
lines
the one.
are, but then after that, the rest of the
Mhm.
way down, they're just, bold, but they're not italicized.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8.
1,
1,
2,
2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I have 8.
Okay. All right, good. This section continues to.
Yeah, just when you think, yeah.
We were gonna spend a half hour.
Yeah.
Even the computer doesn't like it.
Okay, let's go back to like focus sheet 1. If we're okay with the report as is, and I'll add secretary and change Heidi's name.
Yeah,
We'll rename Heidi.
you already did.
I know. I'll rename you back. Focus sheets. Number 1. Who was the owner of 1? Nick was. I expect the owner to be
Nobody was.
extra conscientious on this. Everybody okay with
Yep.
1?
No
Yeah, I was
problem.
gonna say, no, I was not enough. I didn't really
Number
show it
2, focus sheet number 2.
all. Yeah, it was bad.
This is primarily dealing with the green area called the golf course. We wanted to give the council more flexibility to help maintain that green area
I
for the
think we
village.
just need to wanna make sure that it is what you,
Yeah.
it looks familiar to you and
Yeah.
it's what you
I
told
went
us
through
to
it,
do.
I had no problem, I got so bored, I went to sleep when I read it.
Okay,
Mm.
good. Good. So 2 is okay. 3,
We've spent enough time.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, what, are you going backwards? I thought
3
we
is
were already-
okay. Was there any changes on 3? There were, and I don't see anything bold.
Yeah,
What?
I did run my finger down that, and it looks like this one, they're all okay.
Hmm?
There's no italicized anything on,
Then why is it in here?
Wait,
On focus
you
sheet
mean
3?
focus sheet 3?
yeah, that's a whole different
That's
thing,
the,
isn't it?
That's the whole
that's the
2.1.
original, currently. Right, currently.
There's
And
something
then you
wrong.
go
No,
to the
there's
next
just-
page.
And that, keep going.
No, this is section 206.
Yeah, that's
This
what,
is section
Yeah.
206. Oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
It's a
just-
different,
Yeah.
that we're moved on.
it's 4
Yeah.
pages.
I
It's that
know.
evil
I did
section.
it, I wrote it. Ken wrote it, I wrote it, Heidi wrote it.
Put that one together.
New
It
topic.
was, clear, my name, I numbered the sheets.
Just any, blame it on your husband, it's easy.
No, he saved my skin. Sheet 4. 36, from 12 to 36. That was okay. Sheet 5. We just deleted the requirement for the manager to live in the village, so there's nothing bold or anything, but
No,
it's
no,
removed.
it was just a deletion of a paragraph,
Yeah.
or a sentence in a paragraph.
Totally removed. Focus sheet 6, budget, Ken.
Just a question of construction. In some sections where we were deleting a sentence, we emphasize we're deleting a sentence in bold. And here it's just left for the reader to realize the sentence has been
Well, it
deleted.
occurred to me that that was the same with this 5, was the same thing.
No,
Yeah.
I'm looking at 5.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say,
Oh.
that's.
Oh, you're.
Yeah.
We haven't designated, when we were working on this in our sample sheets, we would put it in parentheses or something, what we removed, but,
Yeah, there's no way, yeah, how do you bold
how do you?
Tell
what
the,
you took out?
Well, on focus sheet 7, in one of the notes,
Yeah,
it's saying the last sentence of the current language is deleted.
and that's what it says on this one. Note at the bottom, the entire
Entire
last
last
phrase
phrase.
regarding residence requirements been
Okay.
eliminated.
I'm thinking on one of them, we.
That one on the engineer, we
Yeah,
didn't remove it, we
that
just, I
number
just
8
put in
we're-
parentheses.
Oh,
I did this because I deleted it to say it was simpler.
It's a question of presentation.
Well, and it would be a question of consistency through it, so we don't confuse readers.
Present it the same way every time that,
We eliminate always the same way.
yeah,
whatever
the
we
same
do.
way.
Okay, keep in mind sheet 5.
I don't give a shit. 5 and 8. 5 and 8 should look alike.
5 and 8 should look alike, so when we get to 8, hold on a minute. Let's look at sheet 6.
That's the budget.
And that's what we wanted.
Mhm.
Yeah, because we cleared up the problem we've had in the past with the July 1st date.
Everybody okay with
Yeah.
that one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. 7.
I didn't see any problem with it.
And again, here on 7, at the bottom in the notes, the last sentence of the current language is deleted as the advertisement and bidding process should be at the manager's discretion. So it's been explained there. Are we okay?
Yeah.
Okay. What's different about 8 is that what we're removing
You put in there in bold.
is not at the end. Everything else we've deleted has been the last line or the last paragraph or the last phase. Is that true?
It was easier to state when you say I just took the whole last.
Yeah.
The entire last
Yeah.
phrase and then on 7 it's.
Although because we talk about it up above, is to what, in quotes, what we're,
You have the
statement
current
we're
language
talking
up in
about,
front.
I'd say just
delete
not
it.
put it in there, delete it.
Take it
Makes
out.
everything consistent.
Cause it's been explained,
Yeah,
There's no reason to complicate things, and people might,
yeah.
yeah.
And down here you have the chief concern regarding the sentence we are recommending be deleted.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll take that out.
So now we're consistent.
Yeah, so it's, yeah, that's the kind of thing that I want us to be sensitive to. Okay, police department.
And shouldn't we be italicizing what we're changing in the top? And then have it appear in the proposed language without that?
She's on 8,
I'm still on 8.
oh,
Oh,
sorry.
And I thought that like in the current language, it would appear in the current language with the sentence that, or the part that we are changing in the bold italicized.
and then the
And
proposed
then down
language have it missing.
below, it would be the way that we,
all
Think that it
all
should
of the
be,
current
okay.
language is as it appears in the charter. We haven't bolded anything in the current language.
okay. Only in the changes on the
So
proposed.
then we'd be
okay.
reversing what we did all the
Reversing,
way.
okay, all right.
Yeah. Okay, is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. 9. And Ken, you did a good job with this because even in talking this through with Jeff, he said he reread both Chief Doyle's and our old one several times to kind of get the essence of what was the difference or what was the point he was trying to make, and you do have it listed right out there. And after talking to him, he suggested that if we could fit it on the page without getting too big, and so I went down a font size, it might be good to put down what his proposal was in full so that they would see it and would be able to compare it themselves, because we only have it, he's gone, and we have it in our notes, but I don't wanna attach it to this, you know, what the piece of paper he gave us.
Yeah, and,
And so I decided, okay, we'll put what his proposal was.
Yeah, I
And-
think that's fine.
Yeah, that was pertinent
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah,
our rights of appeal have been court tested, so I think we
Mhm.
decide if it's not broken, we don't fix it.
yeah. Well, our way of dealing with it is much simpler and less confusing to everybody. If we go rewriting the whole thing, it'll be as confusing, maybe more confusing to the citizens than it was to us.
And we don't want another judge to try to make a decision. We're happy with the last one.
I also asked him in my discussions with him, if we learned anything from some recent legal actions with the police department in the last 8 years, did we learn anything that would cause us to want to change anything else, or that this doesn't take care of? He said, no, we didn't. Nothing that would make a big difference, nothing that would have changed this. That was one of my bigger concerns about it. So is this okay? Okay. Sheet 10.
That was
Okay.
10. Oh.
Planning Commission.
Members of council.
Mm-hmm.
Without knowing the mayor that well, I don't know if he would take the concern as a personal concern.
Oh.
I'm thinking the concern was that he had a vote in the planning commission, and that was the only spot that he had a vote.
Mm-hmm.
The city manager does not have a vote
Right.
anywhere, and
Anywhere else?
mayor was going to be the same, so
Yeah.
Well-
I'm sure he's not a terribly sensitive guy, but.
Well, you never know what people are sensitive about. But, you know, what about if we say there was a concern over the mayor having,
A vote.
having a vote on the planning commission? the
Since he was
consensus.
also the appointing authority.
Unless, in case of, unless it's a tie, right?
No,
No.
no,
Not at all, not
Yeah.
even
Council.
a
On
tie.
On
council.
It's a
On
whole-
council.
Council meeting.
On
Council.
council,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like the way that Thad just said that,
Mhm.
over, because you took
He
it,
appoints it, and
you
then
took
if
it a
he's.
step further to make it make clear
Yeah,
sense.
He's an
that-
appointing authority,
Right.
for the
Yeah.
board, and to give him a vote at the same time as being it's, gives the illusion of too much control.
No, I think if we can write it that way, that makes it make
You
sense.
can only have a few words, cause I don't wanna go into, but here, wait, there was a concern.
Start out with
over
four
the-
scores,
well, let
7
me-
years.
There was a concern over the mayor having a vote being on the, vote on the planning commission.
Since he was
since
already
it's-
the appointing
yes.
authority for the commission,
How about since he is the appointing,
authority.
He or she.
he, she,
Just say the mayor.
They.
Just say the mayor.
since the
'Cause
mayor.
then there'll be a whole gender thing.
Yeah,
like it's-
since the mayor is the appointing
Then we have the
authority.
ACLU suing us because of gender preference.
Yeah. Appointing
That's right,
authority.
watch it.
Yeah,
On the commission. Or for the commission, for the commission. Okay. Yeah, that feels better. Anything else? That's a good point, Ken, and I think anything we see like that, that's gonna clarify or keep people from wondering what we're talking about, is important for us to clean up.
Okay, the next one,
11.
11.
going
Board
from
of
down to
Zoning
one
Appeals.
member from the planning commission.
Mhm.
they certainly can decide who they're gonna put on it.
So, okay. And the next one is reducing the recreation commission from 7 to 5 members.
I added in the note that it has been difficult to recruit and maintain a full board of 7 on this commission.
And a quorum.
And to get a forum.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, because I think I heard that, the last comment by, chairman of the Recreation Commission, it was difficult to get a quorum. They've had to cancel the last couple of meetings, I understand, because they couldn't even get a quorum.
Well, and it's frustrating because even if you continue meeting, you can't make any decisions without it, so.
Yeah,
And to get a quorum.
yeah.
In other words, to get a quorum in attendance.
Yeah, because without it, you can't take a decision.
Should I say that, in attendance?
Yeah.
In the concern, we're saying over too many members of the planning commission being also on the zoning board. I don't know where we're eliminating the possibility of one person serving on both.
We're not.
We're not, okay. So by changing the numbers,
Yeah.
there feeling is there'd be a better balance.
What we're doing, we're limiting it you're limiting it to one person on the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Well, what we're doing is we're standardizing, all the commissions have the same number
Right.
of people on them.
Yeah. 5.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. General provisions. I don't know if that needs to have that third paragraph there or not, I don't know.
I don't know if you really need that, but
It kind of looks kind of dinky,
Yeah.
take it off.
I would eliminate whatever Forbes said you might want to leave in, but the last paragraph may be superfluous. We say we could have tried to clarify this issue further by adding instead, except as provided with this charter, the extent that it is not prescribed any such matter shall be by ordinance of council and such, et cetera, et cetera. That was, we may not need to put that in, just say it, granting power boards to deviate the state assembly by adopting rules seems to stretch beyond home rule authority. That's what Forbes said, and I think we might just leave it at that. And we put, that's provided by Ohio Revised Code. I mean, it's a catch-all.
Want to take that off?
Yeah, so we're deleting the second sentence under.
Yeah, under notes.
Second paragraph under notes.
Well, I'm asking, what's everybody think?
Yeah.
First paragraph I would
It's
keep.
a noble purpose to try to clarify more, but as you pointed out, it's just more legal dialogue.
Yeah, it can create more.
I resent that.
So take it off?
I'd take it off.
Take it off. Okay. And take off third paragraph up there?
Third paragraph? Which third paragraph, what's the third?
Well,
Confusing sentence in paragraph 3.
The reason we did that is so we didn't have to go for another 3 or 4 pages printing the whole thing, or 3 pages, 2 pages. I guess it would have been another whole page. And for that one little correction, it looks sort of dumb. But it's the only place we've done that.
You mean take that off right
Just
there?
take off the,
You see where, right
what's
here?
this third
Right there.
paragraph.
Should take that
Should
off.
we take that off?
Yeah, take that off.
Yeah.
Now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's looking for a whole
There weren't
paragraph.
there weren't 3 paragraphs on that page. Okay.
My turn?
Yes.
My
You're done.
only comment would be, under current language, we would want to add in here, motion, like I did various sections, council, various sections, ordinance. I would want to add in various sections, motion, in lowercase. And then underneath, proposed language, various sections, motion with a capital M italicized and bolded.
Okay.
Since we changed that also. That was the only thing.
Okay. Well, I was telling Tricia that it was interesting because I was talking to Jeff and I was pushing him a little bit to ask him if he had researched and whether council would be able to make a resolution to remove all typos and correct all typos and just do it as a blanket thing. He said he had tried a number of different efforts and couldn't get an answer to that everybody agreed on. So
Great.
So he said,
And
why don't
he
you?
certainly wasn't gonna take it on himself,
So he said, why don't you just make a list of them and put it at the back of your document? I said, we did.
That's kind of what she did.
And then he
She-
said, oh yeah, you did, you know, but he had forgotten that. He says, why don't you just put it on there? We did that. He says, that's a good idea. Let them, he says, I think, as I was reflecting on, I think that because of when the charter was written, it was probably typed,
Yeah.
probably on a Selectric or something, and didn't have word processing, and they didn't
Right.
have a spell check, and, you
It's
know.
probably mimeograph,
And
not.
then people actually had to know how to spell.
Yeah, well, and then it had been reproduced, you know, a number of times.
So Nancy's blaming this on the reproduction and not the secretary.
I'm sure, because she was probably the first secretary.
Right.
I agree with
Okay,
Nancy.
now, double check me, because what I'm gonna do is, oh, what about the table of contents?
other than that one line that's, different font.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, there we
Yeah, it is on yours too, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's what you
Isn't
should.
that weird?
Uh-huh.
How did that one little, you
That's
know?
no, my word is going, it's dying, I swear it is.
It's weird.
It is doing really weird things right now. Okay,
So in our report, we're actually including a copy of the bylaws
Mhm.
in the current.
you mean the charter? Yeah. I've asked them to reproduce, exactly what was given to us, this,
Okay.
like this, in the size and everything else, so that it's at the back of ours, because, I think council members probably all have a different version of it. I want them to have the same one that we worked from, and I don't want any of them to say, oh, I don't know where my charter is, or I
Yeah.
haven't seen one, or mine is out of date, or I want them to have this, what we worked from, and have it right there with the report.
With any amount of luck, at least 3 out of 6 will read it.
Okay,
You
I'm
need
gonna,
4.
I'm gonna list off, okay, so the table of contents, you would
At least on the things that we're talking about, maybe not the whole thing, but on our 13 points, maybe.
What?
Not, I'm saying that, he was saying council, I don't think they'll read the whole thing, but they might read,
Bits and pieces.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
on the
send-
14.
We could send them a test.
things that we are,
Okay.
discussing maybe.
So I have a correction on the table of contents. I have page 2, has some changes that need to be made.
You didn't bring any of your colored pens, you could,
Oh gosh, give me your
No,
copy.
you know what I need? I need colored tabs
Here, this,
that I can stick on the side.
this won't
What is
help
she gonna
you?
do with all those now?
Page 7.
How
is-
many council people are there? I can give one to
We
everyone
each get one.
with their copy.
Page 2, page 7. Catch me if I'm overlooking any.
Don't have any.
7.
Okay, the S on 7, right?
Oh,
No,
there
7 was a lot.
There was more
Oh,
than that.
7. Oh, all down, yeah,
All
yeah, all that.
And the 8
Resolution.
italic
Yeah.
letters. Page 14. See if I'm,
Yeah.
did I miss any? Page 16. Page 18. Page 19.
At least a lot of it's deleting.
And page 20. Did we get all of them? All of the
I
stuff?
marked everything and you said it all. The night we come to council, should we maybe meet a little early so all of us can sign this in our
Yes.
hand?
Yes.
With blue ink?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And in fact, you'll have all of theirs, you'll have 7 copies to sign.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, I was,
Except for the one
For the mayor.
If that page is redone, maybe we could circulate it and I'll just print it off and color it.
I'll get it.
We could all sign it blue and he'll copy it and then it'll come off and.
Oh.
Right.
You know, if somehow it's rounded
Circulate it
around.
around. Mhm.
I
and
could,
Whether we're signing in yellow highlighter or purple
Or
or
pink.
blue ink.
We really loosened you up a lot.
No, I-
Or
You
we
can
give-
just sign it
highlighters.
now and then copy it or something?
Or we could give
We
Fred
can't.
Yeah,
Your
I've-
name is on.
the
Oh, that's
early
I've got a
edition,
colored
Right.
copier at
and
work,
then
so it
the
would
meeting,
mean
giving the signed.
making
That's
7 or 8 copies
Unless I
and
want-
putting it at the front of the thing.
could I bring up something that probably too late to even mention it, but I'd like to bring it up. It's come to my attention, there's been some problems with committee meetings being canceled, notice not going out to people, and these cancellations were late cancellations, not, you know, and people showing up and nothing on the door, no idea what happened, couldn't get a hold of anybody. And it's happened to at least 2 council members too, they've come to meetings that for some reason were not. They were canceled at the last minute, and some of the committee members who were on the committee knew about it, some didn't. And wonder if we should put in here that if there's a cancellation of a scheduled meeting, notice should be given not only to members of the committee, but should be posted on the door for the municipal building here. Because things are gonna happen, you're gonna have to last minute
Right.
cancellations, you can't avoid it. But at least if someone takes the trouble to come here not knowing it, at least you have something there to say, hey, it's canceled, emergency or whatever, at least it's not looking at a blank door.
Well, I think that's kind of getting into the minutia of administration though, and I think that that's what council needs to tell all of their leaders, and, because all of them are chairing a committee.
Yeah,
And,
but I just wonder how, you know, you could probably do it with rules of council, but council, at least going from recent experience, has been reluctant to change rules of council, so.
Well, it has to do with being a good leader.
Yeah.
It's leadership. And, you know, did you come up Monday night for the meeting this week?
No, someone else did though.
Well, we tried to notify everybody. We sent out emails and.
Yeah, I got the message.
And that there was a sign, we put a sign out here,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so,
and that's, this committee wasn't the problem.
yeah,
It was
the recreation committee.
recreation and also planning.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing was that it happened, that it was a holiday, and the other thing would be maybe nobody should plan meetings on holidays, because,
Well,
yeah, well, but there's nobody here to answer the phone. The police department, that's not their job. And yet, I don't know who put the Recreation Commission sign up, but I came up and put the other one up. And talked to 3 different people before I called it off, but I didn't wanna waste our time. That was the whole
yeah,
principle.
Charter Commission was not the problem, it was, it wasn't,
Yeah.
you weren't the issue.
No,
The
I
issue-
know, but I'm just asking, but I think that that's their problem, you know, and the rec commission or whoever's in charge of each committee or each commission, that's their job to make sure that everybody that it affects.
I just wanna suggest, given we have focus sheet number 1 that's talking about notice,
Mhm.
and we have ample room in the notes for additional pertinent facts related to this change, maybe instead of saying no need for further explanation, if you have some succinct language you wanna drop in there to say, public has expressed concern about lack of notice
Of
of
cancellation.
meeting schedules changing and yada, yada, yada.
Mhm.
Well, on one hand, we're saying we're not giving notice for meetings, and then on the other, we're saying we're not giving notice for canceling. My only problem with adding that in here would
Not
be
enough
No.
people to notice it.
if, for example, there were to be, and this could happen, maybe not anymore in Cincinnati, but it could, you know where I'm going. if there was 20 feet of snow
Tomorrow's advisory, I know.
and a meeting was canceled and no one could get up here safely to put a notice on the door, but we bound ourselves to have someone.
Well, he's not saying put it in there as part of the charter,
As
part of the
as part of the
discussion.
notes.
Part of the notes.
Yeah.
just in the note.
Or we
Yeah.
put it, if reasonably possible.
Try to make them
Because
aware.
obviously, if we have an ice storm, no one's going anywhere.
But I'm
you
saying
were-
that we're getting, that we should be at a higher scale than that. And how committees function or how they notify people and so on shouldn't be
In the charter.
charter.
I'm agreeing with you, we're not proposing any language in the charter. All we're doing is reminding council, this is common courtesy.
I think council members that came up here and are ticked about it should be doing that.
I suspect they
It's
will
really
be.
not our task.
It isn't
anyway.
our
It's not our
task.
task.
It is not. I think that anybody on council, probably every one of us got schnookered once in the time that we're on council. And it's like, okay, once I'll do this, but don't do it to me again. And I don't think it ever did happen to me more than twice in all the years I was on council. But, you know, your committee, usually a committee of council's 4 people, 3, 4. It's not a big group. 5 on recreation used to be 7. If you can't make 5 phone calls as the
Right.
chair of it, shame on
Well,
you.
isn't part of the
Right.
concern public though?
Yeah, because
Well-
public, we've had in the past, we've had complaints of public coming up for a meeting and couldn't get in or didn't know about it or canceled.
But you don't know, how do you notify the public? You can't
Yeah.
notify. the
Right.
Other
public.
than putting a
And
notice
putting a
on the
sign
door.
on the
door.
Put a
Right.
sign on the door.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that would be the
And that's
minimus you could
normally what
expect
we
anyway.
would do.
Well, we always have done that, but when the offices are locked and closed and there's no phone being answered, I even called the police department, didn't get an answer, so I thought, damn, and I came out and put one up here myself, you know.
Yeah,
But-
just tape it on
but
the outside of the door then.
Again, I say it's the chairperson's responsibility. And if that happens too much, then council should have a training session or leadership training on what is common courtesy and how to treat each other. I mean, that, they could add that to their retreat if it becomes a problem. But I don't think it is a very big problem. It happens once in a while, and then everybody says, shame on you, and then you don't do it again until the next person.
Right, you're gonna have to face the people who came up
Yeah,
here
you
at the
know,
next
but
meeting that are gonna give you the, you know.
I, even in rules of council, that, it isn't a rule, it's sort of like how we treat each other kind of thing.